Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at Amulet Control Haven. This is a deck that sought my interest when I was looking around for decks, and this one in particular had an interesting idea around it. So this is running a full Amulet build. Obviously we are running followers. Of course you do need followers in any deck these days, excluding maybe Rune, where you could get away with spells out for days, but this in particular relies more on its amulet curves, which are a lot of value, honestly. You've got the globes, which pull other amulets and draw cards, just value out of those. Red Hot Boots, great value as a removal and as a way to trigger anything you're looking for when it comes to 1-drop pings. And you've also got Gemstone Carapace. And one of the more interesting cards, especially since it is one of the new ones, Opposing Statues. Choose either a Holy Falcon of Ivory or Holy Fowl of Ebony, Holy Fowl of Ivory or Holy Fowl of Ebony. So, Ivory is a healer, so it heals itself at the end of the turn, which can be great if you're using an Evolve on it to trade. Whereas Hexed is a Storm, which is great if you're going for damage or looking for an instant trade without an Evolve. So, great value off either of these, and the last word means it can recycle itself if you are in the late game, so it means it doesn't lose any value there. Of course, that's only one of the few new cards we're actually running in this deck, I think. Everything else is pretty much from the old style decks. You definitely could want to put in the new Deer card, Cerulean Hide, whatever it is, that thing. That could definitely fit in this deck nicely. I just don't happen to have any, unfortunately, but I would recommend putting some in, maybe trying to replace... I'm not really sure where to go with that. Trying to replace something in that gap can be quite difficult. You could try and slot it in somewhere, maybe just by dropping stuff from 3 to 2 in some cases, or doing something along those lines. I mean, you could easily drop one Aegis, or maybe even drop down a Curate and fit a couple in, but honestly, this deck performs surprisingly well in the current meta, even though it's only got one new card addition. I mean, that's how most of these decks right now are. You are only adding in a few of each card, whereas you aren't completely just changing the entire deck out for new cards, which I think's fine, because that's usually how card games tend to work. So we'll get right into it and take a look at this deck. And my first matchup here is against Blood, especially with that sweet Tartman emblem, I guess.
Moonlight drives me mad.
So Haven definitely has some interesting classes going at the moment with their stuff. I mean, you can do some good control-y stuff. There's also a little bit more aggressive decks that are floating around that I've still got to try and narrow down a bit. But these are the kind of decks that I love building, mainly because they're a lot of fun. So you start off with a pretty average hand, and going up against Blood, that's not really what you want. I mean, the Snow White is great value against Blood, but that's pretty much it. Outside of that, really we're going to be relying on things like Priest of the Cudgel, and that's going to make this a lot more difficult. Of course, the Black Inscripture at least gives us the turn 3 play, which helps out a little bit there. And that Savage Wolf, it's going to hurt for sure. At least we can double trade here. We can trade in, have it die, get better value out of Snow White due to it, and then use its Black Inscription to remove the 2/2. Savage Wolf again, being able to go face, it's quite strong of course, but it means we've already seen 2 of them, and our Priest of the Cudgel is an instant removal on them while giving us a little bit of face damage ourselves. Blood definitely has been favouring very fast games, so that tends to be what they aim for, which isn't too surprising. I do plan on hopefully visiting a new kind of Blood soon, outside of the aggro Bloods that we messed with last time. I do love Bloodcraft, I just need to try and fit in time to build a good deck out of it that I want to try and play, whether it's a Vengeance build that's very similar to what it used to be with a few new cards, or whether it's just something completely off the wall. So they really are trying to beat me out here, which kind of sucks because they're doing a pretty okay job at it. Getting me down to 8 is a fairly good spot for Blood. But our Opposing Falcon is a perfect draw. This is a kind of situation where going for the white kind of Falcon is much better. So the Holy Fowl of Ivory is great because you can easily trade it, and then it will heal itself up to 4 health, which is a hard spot to be removed in most cases. 4 health is kind of the barrier for entry for most decks. Right now we have 10 damage on board, but still not quite enough to push through this. Especially with this Bahamut trade. We do still have an evolve though, so that does open up some options. And Marchez's Tea Time is actually perfect. It means we can get 3 damage to their face while removing both of these wards, and they only have 1 card left. That 1 card is going to be the difference between them winning or losing this match. Which is pretty crazy to think about, honestly. That can be the difference between them winning or losing. So, pretty good matchup, honestly. Not too surprising that that's how the match went down. I mean, we dominated it pretty hard. Being able to keep up the control in the early game against an aggro class will pretty much win you the game 9 times out of 10. Of course, Dragon is a little bit harder of a matchup just because of what you are dealing with. If it wasn't for that, it wouldn't be so bad. But of course, we do get a pretty reasonable hand. Globe is a great opener. We also have the Happy Pig and Black Inscription to take advantage of. And now that we drew another Globe on turn 3, we actually have a play as well. So, many options that we can actually go into. Especially since turn 4 is looking to be really good. So, a nice little Happy Pig. I mean, he's going to do the job nicely for us. But the Star Phoenix trade, a little disappointing. Kind of hurts me a little. But another globe into another globe, great. So now we've just drawn out all our globes. I mean, they're great for drawing stuff, but when you're drawing all of them, it's a little awkward. Dragon's Foresight, not really a big issue to me. Now we have a chance to use our Falcon, or Foul, sorry. I keep thinking Falcon because of Foul, but either way. This gets us some nice storm damage and puts something on the board that they have to deal with, so I don't mind it too much. Plus, all of our amulets are now on 2 countdown, which is perfect. Dragon Cleaver Roy, plus it's Evo. Looks like they're going to probably double up on their trade value to try and kill this off with 2 things, which is good for me. Means this thing actually managed to remove 2 cards, which is better than none. And of course, I get a really nice card with this Globe of Stairways. I mean, we already know 3 of these cards are going to cycle next turn, so I don't mind flooding my board with amulets. Since we do pretty much get a really nice value out of them, especially since this 2/1's instantly killed here. So now we just need to be able to take advantage of what we have. So I've got 3 pieces of the cudgel, meaning one of these can just be played as a normal cudgel without actually using its evolve effect. And it's a nice setup if they don't remove it. But they do go for the straightaway remove, but that does absorb their Dragoon Scyther. So that's always a good thing. And another Dragon Cleaver Roy. I mean, Roy is a bloody strong card, honestly. No other words for it. Bloody strong. At least we do get out Carapace, which is good. And with a pretty easy removal to go along with this. I mean, who doesn't want strong, good removal?
I see your weakness.
You follow behind.
We also get to pretty nicely play another Snow White, so now we've got a pretty sticky board. Our only real issue is, are they going to be able to storm me down faster than I can deal damage here? And if we make it to turn 9 and hold on to that evolve, Argus is going to be an absolute powerhouse this match. So it looks like they are playing out everything they can.
What in the...
It does end up costing them that stairway play, so they are going to get that out. So to go for the opposing statues again. More storm damage. We get to banish the Star Phoenix this turn, which is good. I mean, being able to banish it means we don't have to deal with it anymore, replaying itself. And next turn is our Aegis turn, so all we really need is to either keep our board the way it is and go face, or have them remove some stuff and allow us to play it out.
Crystals of snow.
Of course, double Snow Whites, not really any concern.
Crystals of snow.
If they are forced to use double removal on this, then that's good for me. Especially since I'm going to have a free Igus set up now. So all we're actually short on is 1 damage. Which, I mean, now that we've got Dark Gene, it's going to be pretty easy to find that 1 damage. So Stormborn Wings, looks like they're really pushing it now. Nice Windblast Dragon.
Hear the dragons roar.
Not really going to do much for them though. I mean, at this point, we pretty much have secured game. They're probably banking on the fact that I can't kill them this turn because they have 1 more health. But that's where something like Dark John comes in super handy and just cleans them up nicely.
False idols can't save our
So a really swift 12 damage to their face.
You follow behind.
You're a solid fighter.
So 2 very different games, one that was more aggressive and one that was slower. Shows off the deck quite nicely. So that's the Amulet Haven control deck. I mean, it's definitely got a few adjustments that it could probably be made to it, especially adding Hide. If I get the chance to mess around with that, would be really cool. Otherwise, this deck has done surprisingly well for me so far. I haven't had too many bad matchups, and the ones that are kind of iffy, mainly sitting around things like really Dragon is kind of awkward because if they get a good curve, or other Haven mirror matches can be quite awkward. Otherwise, not really any major bad matchups. Of course, if aggro can outdo your removal, you're going to lose, but that's more of a 50-50 thing, and I don't find it to be too much of an issue. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, you can check out the deck list in the description below. You can hit that like button and subscribe for more content, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.